Genre: Expository text. Why Does the Moon Change Shape? By Melissa Stewart. The Mysterious Moon. For as long as people have lived on Earth, they have asked questions about the bright lights that fill the nighttime sky. What causes them? How far away are they? Why do they move from night to night? For thousands of years, the moon has been the most mysterious nighttime object of all. It is the largest object in the night sky, and it is the brightest. What amazed ancient people the most is how the moon's shape is constantly changing. Sometimes it looks like a full bright circle. Other times, only a tiny sliver appears. It did not take ancient people long to realize that the moon's changes, or phases, follow a regular pattern. The moon's phases repeat themselves every 29 or 30 days. If you watch the moon every night for about a month, you can see all its phases. At the beginning of each cycle, people on Earth cannot see the moon at all. After a few days, a tiny sliver of light appears in the nighttime sky. Each night, the moon looks a little larger. After a week, it looks like half of a circle. And about a week after that, a full round disk brightens the night sky. But then the moon starts to shrink. Each night, it gets a bit smaller. After about a week, the moon looks like half of a circle. And a week after that, the moon disappears completely. But a few days later, a tiny sliver of light returns. This 600-year-old drawing shows two European astronomers studying the moon and recording their observations in a notebook. Our place in space. Earth is one of 8 planets in our solar system. The other planets are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All 8 planets orbit or move around a star called the Sun. A year is the amount of time it takes a planet to circle the Sun once. Earth completes the trip in about 365 days. So an Earth year is 365 days long. That is the amount of time between your last birthday and your next birthday. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It makes one full orbit in just 88 days. So a year on Mercury is much shorter than a year on Earth. Neptune is the farthest planet from the Sun. It takes Neptune 165 Earth years to circle the Sun. That is a really long time to wait between birthdays. Each planet in our solar system follows a specific path as it orbits the Sun. Planets are not the only objects that orbit the Sun. Thousands of smaller rocky chunks called asteroids and dwarf planets do too. Most asteroids follow paths located between Mars and Jupiter. Dwarf planets, such as Pluto, are larger than asteroids. Their orbits are located beyond Neptune. Comets are small icy objects that orbit the Sun. Their orbital paths around the Sun are long and thin, like a cucumber. Planets, asteroids, dwarf planets, and comets do not fly off into space because the Sun's gravity is always tugging on these smaller objects. Their forward movement is perfectly balanced with the pull of the Sun's gravity. Asteroids are small rocky objects that orbit the Sun. The Moon in Motion. The Sun is not the only object in our solar system with enough gravitational pull to attract smaller bodies. 6 planets, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, have smaller objects orbiting them. So do a few asteroids and dwarf planets. These smaller objects are moons. Scientists have identified at least 60 moons circling Jupiter. Saturn probably has even more. But Mars has just 2 moons, and Earth has only 1. In this image of Earth and the Moon, you can see part of the far side of the Moon, the half of the Moon that never faces Earth. Earth's moon is closer to Earth than any other object in space. Still, it took Apollo astronauts traveling at rocket speed about 4 days to reach the moon in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The moon is about 238,860 miles, 384,400 kilometers from Earth. That is almost 100 times farther than the distance between New York, New York, and Los Angeles, California. It takes the moon about 27 days to complete one full orbit around Earth. That means it circles our planet about 12 times each year. As the moon orbits Earth, it also rotates or spins like a top. Earth rotates too. Our planet takes about 24 hours, or one full day, to complete one rotation. The moon spins much more slowly. It rotates just once during each 27-day orbit. As Earth spins, different areas of the planet face the sun. It is daytime in the places that are facing the sun. That is why days are bright and sunny. It is nighttime on the part of the Earth facing away from the sun. That is why it is dark at night. The amount of time it takes the moon to rotate is the same as the time the moon takes to orbit Earth. So people on Earth always see the same side of the moon. Scientists call the side we see the near side. When the near side of the moon is lit up by the sun, we see a full, bright circle. When the far side of the moon is fully lit up by the sun, we cannot see the moon at all. A total of 6 Apollo spacecraft carried people to the moon. The astronauts returned with photos, rock samples, and amazing stories of what they saw as they cruised around in lunar rovers. This X-ray image of the sun shows some of the fiery gases it sends out into space. Let there be light. The sun is a star, a giant ball of boiling gases. The temperature at the center of the sun is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, 15 million degrees Celsius. The gases inside the sun are so hot that it glows. The sun is not the biggest star in the universe, but it looks the brightest in the sky to us because it is the closest. During some parts of the year, we can see Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn as bright, steadily shining dots of light in the night sky. But these planets do not produce their own light. The light we see when we look at them comes from the sun. As the sun's rays hit a planet, some of the light bounces off the planet's surfaces and travels back into space. When some of that reflected light reaches our eyes, the planet seems to glow. The moon reflects the sun's light too. We know from astronauts and space vehicles visiting the moon that it is made of solid rock. There is no source of light on the moon. We can only see the moon when the sun is shining on it. And then that light is reflected off the moon's surface and into our eyes. The moon is much smaller than Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. But it looks bigger and brighter to us because it is much closer to Earth than those planets are. Why does the moon change shape? During any 29 or 30-day period, The moon's appearance seems to